Another video for you guys today. A lot of people out there I see kind of curiously asking and trying to get opinions from other people about whether or not we're in a recession. A lot of people you see out there say we are not in a recession. We have nothing that's happening right now resonates with a recession. And you have other people on the other side saying that we definitely are in a recession. So I'm going to be breaking down both sides of it, and I want you guys to kind of decide down below in the comments and tell me what you think. But the reason why a lot of people think we're not in a recession, let's start with that side, is because of, a lot of the consumer data that comes out, consumer spending, consumer health, consumer sentiment is another report that we tend to pay attention to pretty closely. There's lots of metrics out there that kind of suggest that the economy is still moving. There's still spending going on. So we have to kind of figure out, first of all, what is a recession, right? There's different definitions for it. And in fact, in 2022, we did hit a technical recession, although the government came out and said, well, it's not actually a recession, even though the data is saying it is. We're still not going to actually officially call it a recession, right? Which a lot of people were very kind of mad about that, right? Because a lot of people define a recession as being 2 quarters in a row where GDP contracts. So if we have 2 negative quarters of GDP in a row, which we did actually have in 2022, it turns out that, like I said, the government actually came back and said, hey, even though yes, the definition of a recession is 2 contracting quarters of GDP, we also have all this other data that kind of goes against that. So we're not really going to call it a recession, but we did actually hit that. So if that's your definition of a recession, if you think it's just 2 negative quarters of GDP and you don't factor anything else into it, then yeah, technically we've already been in a recession and we're already out of it. But as I was saying before, right, we have to kind of define what a recession is before we make this argument of whether or not we're even in one. So I guess for people who are saying that, that we are not in a recession, they're looking at the GDP and it's still positive, right? We actually just had a GDP update today. So I'm going to link some articles down below for you guys to check out some of the facts and information so that you guys can see that we actually did get a little bit of growth in the GDP. It wasn't, we actually missed estimates. So we always have analysts that come out and predict how much the GDP is going to go up or down or stay the same. And they had forecasted, I believe it was like 1.5 or 1.4%. And then the number came out a bit lower. So we didn't grow as much as analysts had expected. And the numbers are definitely not growing as much as they used to. Like you go back to a lot of the GDP readings from previous quarters within the past couple of years, we've had a couple quarters where the GDP did actually grow over 3%. So the fact that I think this reading was somewhere between 1 to 2%. So if you compare that to previous quarters, we're definitely growing at a slower rate, but we're still positive. So a lot of people are using that as an indicator that, hey, we are not in a recession. Now, I also want to talk about the other side, right? Because I see a lot of people, a ton of people making a bunch of thumbnails, bunch of doomsday videos about the economy and things like that, about a recession, right? And that we're already in one. Now, why are people saying that? Well, see, one of the main reasons, like I said, before, that people think we're not in a recession is because the consumer is out there spending. People are out there spending money, they're traveling, they're going to restaurants. So we haven't really seen much of an actual slowdown from the consumer as a whole. But where a lot of people will come in and make the argument that we're in a recession already is that where is all that money coming from that's fueling all of the spending? Okay, so we go a little bit deeper than just the surface level metrics and we look at what kind of spending do we see today. And if you look at a lot of the metrics, we do know that consumer savings are going down. We know that the savings accounts that people used to have a lot of savings, right? Especially after the coronavirus and the pandemic, a lot of people were able to save a lot of money and build up their, savings, which was great. But just for safety purposes, not for inflation purposes, but just it's that we have one of the signs of a healthy economy is growing savings. So when people's savings start to grow, we just know that that's because they have excess money left over, and that is that's congruent with a healthy economy. Okay, so but we don't see that right now. We see the exact opposite. We see savings going down. And so a lot of people are challenging all of the consumer spending and saying, well, where is all this money coming from? Well, a lot of people are starting to realize that it's coming from credit card debt, right? So a lot of people are taking out loans and revolving debt to be able to fuel all this spending. And the problem with that is that our interest rates are so high, especially on credit cards. You have 20, 21, 25% APRs. Some people even I've seen paying over 30% interest on their credit cards, which is ridiculously expensive, because not only do you have the higher prices from inflation, but you also have the higher interest rates that people have to pay to borrow the money to pay for the stuff on things where the prices have already gone higher. So you're getting hit double the amount from the higher interest and the higher prices. So those are kind of the two arguments, right? It's like either we have no recession because the consumer is still resilient and out there spending, and so corporations and businesses are still able to keep their earnings high. And you also have other people arguing, well, yeah, the consumer is spending, but that's because they're running up a bunch of debt. And is that really a strong economy if you have a bunch of people running up debt on credit cards with super high interest rates? And the reason that really matters is because, look, if you don't have the money to spend and you're just borrowing money to spend, then how, again, it's a loan. You're gonna have to pay that loan back with a lot of interest. But the whole reason people are putting money on a credit card is because they can't afford to do it with their own money. So how are they going to pay it back? This is why you see a lot of defaults on credit card rates right now. And that's also not a good sign, right? We see delinquencies and charge-offs on credit cards and stuff like that. That is not a good sign. So anyway, I want to hear your guys' opinion about this. Leave a comment down below. Kind of want to see, what you guys think. Man, I got to sit down a little bit because I've been trying. Sometimes I do these videos in the middle of my runs where if you look at me, I'm like all sweaty right now. I did a 15-mile bike ride today. I'm doing 10 miles of running today. And then we're going to end the night with a big lift session with Amy in the garage. And so some of you guys know that I'm training for Ironman races, but it's, but I like to record these in the middle of my walk. That's why I come over here with the big lake. Everything looks so nice today, and it's just a great day. So anyways, I hear your guys' opinion down below in the comments. I love reading your guys' comments and your inputs, and let me know, do you guys think we're in a recession or not? Do you guys think the economy is healthy? You let me know down below, and can't wait to see what you guys say. See you in the next video.